I picked up a gas blowback WE L85 and 2 mags for an absolute spanker of a deal. And while the hop-up app has done well by me almost every single time that I've been on it, this came with some issues. First of all, whatever grease or lubricant the previous owner used, it looked like some sort of peanut butter consistency in there, and it was definitely slowing it down, so I added my own grease, obviously, to make things move better. During this, I noticed 2 screws at the base of the bolt were completely loose, so I went ahead and removed them, added a little bit of Loctite glue, and then reinstalled those in place so that those don't come out again. And then this little plastic piece that holds the nozzle in place was missing a screw, so I took a screw and cut it down from an AEP01 and reinserted that with some Loctite, and that stayed in place as well. Also, the lower receiver's fire control unit pin was missing, so I went to KY Airsoft and ordered a new one. And since you stuck around, just like any well-rounded review, we'll put it through a series of tests to see how it performs, take it apart, put it together, and then conclude. However, there's one thing we have to keep in mind, whereas this thing came out a few years ago, most things that we review are brand new, and this guy has seen, from what I was told, 3 different owners, one of which including me. Now, at first touch, if I'm being totally honest, WE did not skimp on any of the construction. The entirety of this replica's receiver, upper and lower, is a stamped steel, including all pins and screws that you can see. The following material is polymer, where you'll find on the cheek rest, the grip, and the handguard. Let's not forget the smaller parts like your trigger, your bolt block, and this funky little doohickey that we'll talk about later that doesn't do anything on the Airsoft replica. Following parts like the carrying handle and rear sight, front sight, and outer barrel are all aluminum. Then you will find that the muzzle is steel. And from my understanding, this charging handle is plastic, but that does not come as the same in all of the WE L85s. Different versions and different variants had different charging handles. This one just tends to be plastic. The butt pad is rubber, however. A few things you're going to want to keep in mind before operation. Now, when you do charge the handle, that cover does lock itself down. If you do want to bring it back up, just push it back and fold it upwards. It locks itself in place right under that small latch. You are gifted a sling mount point on both the back sides of the stock. And whereas you have this single sling mount on the front of the handguard on the left side, it is ambidextrous and with a single screw can be swapped out to the other side. Your mag release is directed right above the mag well, super easy to access. And let's not forget our fire and fun mode selection switch. Now this small nub may be hard for some to find, but this is your bolt catch and release. So pull this guy down and it will release your bolt. To adjust the hop up, go ahead and pull the charging handle back, and inside you'll see a small screw at the top of the hop up, which we will get to in a second. That grub screw needs to be tightened down to increase hop and loosened to decrease hop. Final things to note is your rear sight is adjustable for windage and distance, and that front sight is elevation adjustable via a dial on the bottom. Oh, and did I mention it takes WEM4 mags, which means I could put a drum mag in it if I wanted to. Where I would regularly next start with a gas efficiency test. I just don't feel like that's fair, being this thing has seen 3 different owners and is such an old replica. So we're going to do a couple different series of tests and see how it performs, like accuracy, range, we'll test its FPS and whatnot, and we'll just see how generally enjoyable it is to fire. Here we go. Oh, that's auto. There we go, that's better. Okay, so first of all, I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but the sound that you get from this thing is just, it's so different. It's got this ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. It feels like LMG-esque. And you don't get that noise from almost any other GBBR that is just so unique to the L85. Seems like we're like light striking here. We do have rounds in there. Now something else that I noticed is just super satisfying, almost like a fidget toy. The indexing of the mag on any WE M4 replica is just, it's so smooth, super wobbly, but it just sounds So authentic. It's like video game style authentic. Oh, I like that. So weird. One of the main problems that I'm having is these mags just don't seem to want to hold the full gas fill no matter what I do. Hey buddy, I'm gonna need that spot please. We gotta do some chrono testing. Let's take a look at the FPS, shall we? Throw on the Ace-Tech Chrono. Just make sure that we're running the 0.3s that we have installed. And we are. Now let's throw about 8 shots through it and we'll see what the chrono reads. Jesus. 484. What? Okay, I don't know what the 484 was. 372, 367, 363, 365, 366, 360, 359, 359, 356, 355, and 352. Just a little look back. We'll check our readings. I have no idea what that 484 was about. That was absolutely ridiculous. But then we started to even out around the 370, 360 mark. And we had a consistent drop as you would expect from most GBBs, just because obviously we're starting to run out of gas in the gas reservoir. A little jump back up, and then we continued to fall back down into the like 350s range. So it's definitely a significant drop, like a 20 FPS drop from top to bottom. If you ignore that ridiculous 484, that one would hurt. It's target time. As fast as the L85 and I can handle 2 shots on all 6 targets downrange. They are all about headshot size. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. That wasn't too bad. Little user error there, but it's honestly kind of insanely accurate in comparison to what I expected. It probably has a lot to do with that extremely long inner barrel. That's probably why we're also firing so hot. We may have to reload the next one, but we're going to try again. We're going to go for 1 shot a pop in 3, from the left to the right completely. 3, 2, 1. All right, I 2-shot that one. We're out of ammo. I'm working out of my pockets. I feel like the rental. Boom. There's some leaves in the way of those longer targets, the ones that are further away, so it's a little harder to hit, but that's not bad. Okay, so next, why don't we try, we'll go right to left on these, and then right to left on those. And we'll go 2 shots a pop in 3, 2, 1. Come on. There we go. And we're not feeding anymore. I don't know why, but we keep like, feels like light striking. It's super weird. Now that light striking, I forgot to mention something before. For some reason, no matter what I do, I've even replaced the valve knocker lock and it's just not fixing it. The full auto on here is, oh boy, it's atrocious. It just doesn't work. 3, 2, 1. See what I mean? I don't understand why that happens. It gasses out almost immediately. But I hear you. You want to take her home and obviously see her inside. So let's take it apart. We're going to first start with this pin that's already slightly popped out for whatever reason. There's another pin right here that you're going to have to remove that's behind the magazine plate, easy to push out by hand. And then there's the final pin, which is up in the front of the magazine well. And again, you can push those out by hand. Now it's as simple as removing the lower and the upper receiver. So you're just going to slide the lower back and down. And there you have the lower, like you saw before in the cleaning video, and the upper. Be super careful because the upper is barely held in place after you take out this bolt handle, because the bolt and the spring guide and springs will just pop right out. They're barely held in the back by a small little lump in the back of the upper receiver. What we're going to do is we're going to take the spring guide out, lift it up, and just pull it out. And there's your 3 spring guides and your 1 large return spring, and then your 2, I guess, buffer springs. Now to get the charging handle out, we're just going to pull the bolt back until it gets to this small little hole. And you should just be able to pull the bolt handle out. And then out comes the bolt. And that is your entire L85 field stripped. To break down the lower receiver even further and take your fire control unit out, all you're going to do is take out 3 screws. The first one is going to be this little grub screw right here that holds in the bolt release. The second one is this big screw in the back that holds the entire hammer housing down into the lower receiver. And then there's another screw that you can't see, but it's directly inside that hole. And that screw will allow you to remove the fire selector switch, and then you can remove the entire unit out. That screw is a pain in the butt to get back in if you don't have some sort of a magnetic bit, so make sure you do. Going into the upper, you can see it's obviously just this big housing, and then we move up to the front and you can see your hop-up unit. Now the hop-up unit, like I said before, there is a screw here that you're going to use to adjust your hop-up, and on the inside you can kind of see that it looks like there is an aftermarket bucking. Is that a flamingo bucking? I'm not sure. Someone put an aftermarket bucking in there. I don't know if there's an aftermarket barrel, but there's an aftermarket bucking. This entire blowback unit is one giant chunk of metal. It's got a bunch of screws that you're going to want to, like I said, make sure that you Loctite in place, otherwise they're going to fly off. And the nozzle is spring-loaded, but its movement is definitely not the smoothest movement. I think that just has to do with its air seal. Now, I don't want to take too long here, and unfortunately things didn't always go as planned, so you always have to be ready for that. Did it work? Sort of. Is there a few things that I need to fix? Absolutely. I will say the joy that I got out of firing this thing is crazy. It just feels so different. The slamming of the bolt back into the receiver is just pleasing. And reloading the mags gives me that same feeling and joy that jamming a pen through the hole of a spinning fidget spinner gave me way back when they were first popular. Now, granted, this isn't the first WE I've ever owned, but from what I understand, you almost have to tinker with them constantly after you purchase them in order to get them to work correctly. Luckily, aftermarket parts are readily available, but they cost a lot to get overseas, and if I'm being totally honest with you, is it really worth it? Since this is the only L85 GBBR available on the market, sure, but in general, I don't know. I've had replicas perform better, even if they were old. For now, share with me your experience if you have one, your options for possibly fixing it, if you have any idea what the heck's going on. And I'm glad to join this community of the L85 because it does have a small little cult following, which I thought was super cool. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Peace.